Welcome. We're the Lorcana Twins, and thank you so much for tuning into our channel. We really appreciate it. We're here to bring you more news about Disney's upcoming TCG, Lorcana. Today we got 4 new cards revealed, which is really exciting. It'd been a bit of a drought since the last reveal, so I was very surprised that it wasn't just 1 card, it was actually 4, and we're going to talk about those today.
Yeah, and if you're a big animal fan, I think you'll be excited because all 4 cards today are animals. So,
Yep, animal companions.
And then after that, we're going to touch on some art spotlights. So basically what this is we went through each of the 6 inks, and each of us picked a card that we really love the art for so far out of what's been revealed.
And it was hard to pick just one.
It sure was, because there's some amazing art in this game. I think it's really neat that each card has been designed with new art by, these commissioned artists that Lorcana has hired. And so far it's just really been fantastic. Every time a new card is revealed, just appreciating the art that comes with.
Yeah, and you can tell that the artists really work closely with the game designers too to make it fit the theme of the game and the ink concept. And yeah, we're gonna look at that a little bit later. But first, we'll start with the new cards that were revealed today. And the first one here is Timon. And of the 4, this one we knew was going to be in the game because this art was kind of teased on the website. But I absolutely love this art too, just to say it has a lot of color and vibrancy going on in it. Timon's looking like he's having a great time chowing down. Very reminiscent of the movie. He's got a bug in his mouth and he's already contemplating that next morsel.
What I like about the art on this one is, a lot of cards are kind of colored based on what ink they're in. So, while there is some yellow on this card for the amber, there's also a lot of other colors too, like these bugs. There's blue, green, purple, you name it. There's a lot of colors happening, and I think that makes this one pretty fun.
Yeah, it's got a lot of vibrancy going on, and also there's a lot of depth to the picture too. Like you can see there's that vine hanging like in the background, and then there's some different vines in the foreground with the platter of bugs as well, and just really cool piece. And I always love like a jungle scene. So this looks like a fun setting to be in. And as you can see, the card itself, he costs 1. He has 1 strength. And then his willpower is a question mark right now. We don't know currently because that was covered up during the reveal. But he's got a nifty looking ability, Tastes Like Chicken, which says when you play this character, you may remove up to 1 damage from chosen character.
So yeah, this looks like, Healing Glow costs 1 and heals for 2. The difference here is he costs 1 and heals for 1, but you do get to have a character sit on board after that. And, we assume he'll probably have 1 lore just based on the fact that he costs 1.
And has an effect.
And because he has that effect too, we think he'll be similar to Hey, in terms of the stat line, probably a 1-2. But, that would just be our guess for now. Of course, it might be different.
It's possible he could be a 1-3, but we just don't think he would be because, Olaf, who's vanilla and has no effect, is a 1 for 1-3 with 1 lore, and we definitely don't see Timon having more than the 1 lore, so guessing he's probably a 1 for 1-2 with the heal ability.
And I would say, while I do really love, the look of this card, and I think it's cool that, he heals, which is consistent with some of the other Amber cards. I'm not sure how powerful, healing 1 is going to be. I have a feeling that might be pretty weak. So unless maybe you're running this in like a Stitch deck where you're able to, the Rockstar Stitch, and you're able to play a 1-cost card and just exert this Timon on play and then draw a card off of him, that might be a neat way to get some heal and a card at the same time. But, other than that, I think there's probably other 1-drops you might want to play that could already trade out with Timon. Or if you're already playing Amber, I think Hei's ability to, buff the power level or the strength level of another one of your characters might be more valuable than this. So while I think he's really cool, I'm not sure how playable he will be, but
yeah, I do like your idea with the Stitch synergy, since it's like when you play this character. So when you play him, you can still exert him for Stitch, draw a card off of that, and get the heal off Timon at the same time.
Yep.
And yeah, it's just a unique ability. Not sure how much play it'll see, but I think visually it's very cool. And now we will move on to the next card. And this one I was very excited to see in the game. Yes, Cerberus, the 3-headed dog.
Yeah, as we've said a lot before, we're huge Hercules fans, so it's always cool to see new cards from that franchise. And this is Cerberus, the 3-headed dog. He costs 5, and he is a 5 strength, 6 willpower stat line. And he looks to be vanilla, so not having any effect. Basically, the trade-off for that is that he gets good stats for his cost.
Good stats.
So, compare this to Jumba, who costs 5, but his his strength is only 4 and his willpower is 5, and he has 2 lore. So because of that, we think that the trade-off to having these higher stats is that he'll probably only have 1 lore. But if you're playing this card, you're playing it to win the board with.
Right. You could hopefully trade multiple units out before they can take down your Cerberus and just get a lot of board advantage that way. And then in the long run, it'll help your other units collect all their lore. So yeah, a very strong unit stat-wise.
I think what's really nice about him too is, as we've seen before, there's many characters in this game that have 5 willpower, and so it's very hard to find a character that can hit for 5 strength. And Cerberus right here, he can clear an Aurora, he can clear Stitch, he can take out Jafar.
Yeah, and his 6
in one hit.
His 6 willpower as well. That makes him very tough to take down. Like we've seen that Jafar that has Challenger, and he hits for 5. But Cerberus would even withstand a hit from Jafar. So that's really cool to see. And he would also, dealing 5 back to Jafar, take Jafar out in 1 hit. So, very good if you're going for stats and controlling the board. And what I really liked about seeing this in the game is that, a lot of times you see like the main characters of movies get included, and Cerberus didn't necessarily get a lot of screen time. But, if you're into Greek mythology or the movie, he is very, he gets a cool feature for a little bit in the film anyway. And yeah, just a cool character. I like to see that they're already working in some of those, smaller characters from the films into the movie. That's just really exciting, and they're going to build out the franchise.
Seeing this, it makes me think, there's a chance we might see the Hydra, and was always a really cool scene in the film, and I think the Hydra could have a cool effect. So, hoping that makes an appearance at some point. But was very pleased to see Cerberus today.
Yep. And next we have Iago, and I believe we had guessed that Iago would be making an appearance. He is, he gets some dialogue in the film, so that's pretty easy to guess. But he is a 3-cost 1/4, and the lore on him is currently unrevealed as well. But I think ability-wise, this character is maybe the most exciting of the 4 that were revealed today.
And we're not actually sure what the ability is, but it seems like you can probably give a character Reckless in some fashion. So I'm not sure if it's on play or if it's like you can exert Iago to give a character Reckless.
Or perhaps when Iago goes questing, who knows? But the ability to potentially give, a target character of your opponents Reckless to make them A, be unable to quest next turn, and B, be forced to challenge into one of your units that you would like them to challenge if they have no way to get around that. That's just a really cool ability. And yeah, I'm not sure then how it'll work, because he costs 3, and we recently saw the Emerald action card where Gaston is saying the beast will be mine, and that basically gives target character Reckless as well, and for the same cost. So I'm not sure, again, how this effect works exactly, but it seems like if you can stick a character on board that's going to be worth some lore and be able to contest the board while getting the same effect or a similar effect to that action card, it seems like Iago would probably have an easier time being put into a deck. But
yeah, so I guess it'll depend, because if this isn't an on-play effect and you need it to happen now on this turn, you need to stop that Brave Little Tailor Mickey from questing for 4 lore, for example, then, if Iago doesn't happen on play, there's a delay to this effect. But if he is on play, then I'd probably always want to run this instead of the beast is mine. But also, I think if it's an exert effect or a quest effect, then it'd be kind of similar to Elsa, where she can exert to exert an opposing character. So her stat line, she's a 3 for 2/3. So Iago is he lost 1 strength, but he gained 1 willpower. So he's actually probably going to be kind of sticky on the board. So, this might be an effect that if it's not just on play, you might get to activate it a couple times. And there's some characters I think this would be pretty strong against. So Cheshire Cat, for example, he always wants to quest for 2 lore. And if he can't quest, he actually can't really accomplish anything in a challenge with 0 strength. So if you have an Iago and they have a Cheshire Cat, if this is something you can activate every turn by exerting Iago, for example, you can stop them from going after that 2 lore. And that's really probably one of the main reasons you're playing the Cheshire Cat. So, I think Iago, it'll remain to be seen how effective he is. But the one other cool thing, you can see he's standing on, it looks like Jafar's kind of the edge of the sleeve of his outfit.
Yep.
And so this does make me think we're probably going to see an Emerald Jafar. I know that we've seen the one in Amethyst so far, and he has the Challenger keyword, but that just doesn't seem spicy enough, I guess, like to capture all of Jafar's
Yeah, I think he
trickery
would have,
and stuff.
like,
He seems like an Emerald character that probably has like either a hypnotic effect or some kind of manipulation.
Yeah, he seems like quite the sorcerer, a grand vizier, so I feel like they could try to come up with a different effect for him too that will be more board control-y or in some way. But yeah, so perhaps we will see a Emerald Jafar as well to go along with this Iago.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be surprised if he's super rare or something like that, because we really haven't seen any high rarity, I don't think, high rarity Emerald cards yet, unless, I'm not sure if all the rarities have been revealed on the cards we have seen, but I wouldn't be surprised if he's like super rare or
And
higher
I
possibly.
suppose with Jafar's, his normal color in the films, in terms of his robes, he's usually kind of more in that ruby color, I would say, too. So I guess with the Emerald and Ruby starter deck being a thing, maybe there would be a Ruby Jafar as well. It doesn't necessarily have to be
I think when he
Emerald,
turns
but
into a genie, at the end, he's kind of red in color. And
yes.
what's fun about Jafar is he has so many different forms in the film, like when he disguises himself as a beggar by the Cape of Wonders, when he's in his genie form, when he's in the serpent form. So I'm excited to see how many Jafars we might get, but I'm definitely expecting one in Emerald now that we've seen this Iago.
It's cool to see his sidekick here already. And lastly, we have Sergeant Tibbs, and I will admit I don't know much of anything about Sergeant Tibbs. Definitely would be a film to go rewatch.
Yeah, this was the one I was least familiar with for sure.
But in terms of stats, he costs 1. He's representing Ruby. He has 2 strength. It looks like he's a vanilla with no effect. And the lore and the willpower values are not revealed. However, we're guessing with decent confidence that it's probably going to be 2 willpower and 1 lore. Similar to or identical to the Sapphire Flounder, who is a 1-cost 2/2 for 1 lore, and the Amber Stitch, who is also 1 for 2/2 with the 1 lore.
And also the Steel Goons, which
So
is the same.
It seems very possible that every ink color might receive a 1-costed 2/2 with 1 lore. Just to kind of give you that option if that's the stat line you want to run, and you're using different inks. It's nice for each deck, at least in this first set, to have the option of running that kind of stat line. So not 100% confirmed, but that's kind of what we think those stat lines will be.
Yeah, I think cards like this, they just help you kind of get something out on the board early so that you don't fall super behind and like be unable to challenge some of your opponent's characters that are questing for lore, like especially if you're against an aggressive lore hungry deck like that plays maybe the little 1-cost Maleficent. If you don't have something on board to deal with her, she can very quickly get you a high percentage of your win condition.
Yes.
So just being able to play something like this that would trade out with her and still stay on board, that's nice. So I think it
just helps to shut down some early aggression out of your opponent in terms of just running away with the board questing and you not having any early units. So yeah, this is a good early unit, I guess, that can trade pretty good with most of the 1-drops that we've seen so far. But yeah, now we're going to get into the art spotlights, and like I said, it was very hard to pick just one card, but we will start it off with Amber, and I went with Ariel on human legs, as you can see here. I just think
I was tempted to go with that as well.
Yeah, I just think art-wise, it looks like she's by the coast. It's very bright with the sun, maybe a sunrise in the backdrop on the nice turquoise waters. And then she's in a very nice looking town, and she just seems like she's super happy to be there. Finally, she's dreamt about, being part of the out of water world, so to speak. And, she's finally there, and she's just taking it all in. Yeah, that's very cool. I think it just has a very bright, inviting vibe to it. And again, there's a nice pop of blue, like it's so reminiscent of how she looked in the film. And another cool thing, this is card number 1 of the set. So, anyone putting these cards into binders in order of, card number, this is a nice card to start it off with. When you open your binder, you can get a nice look at this very nice piece of artwork.
Yes, and then I went with Hades, Lord of the Underworld. I was a little biased because, we love the Hercules movie so much, so naturally I kind of gravitated towards this card, but visually I think it's quite stunning.
Indeed.
Hades is right in the center, and it seems to be the focus of the card is on him. There's a lot of hands reaching towards him, kind of showing how important he is, but he doesn't really have the time or the attention for, for those dead souls that are
That he's supposed to be taking
reaching
care
out.
of, yeah.
Yes, and, the way he's standing, he just looks like he's powerful and he knows it, and he's ruling over his underworld.
I also love this one, and I can just imagine like in foil, especially all that amber, just glowing
I love how
so well.
the river. I'd say it's probably the river Styx, is in amber here, like to match the color of the ink type.
Yeah,
and
it's
also
very cool.
In the background, the amber banner usually has kind of some twisted lines that are interlocking, and you can see on the wall in the back it kind of matches that as well. So love this art. I think it's really kind of imposing and regal at the same time.
Yeah, and I think a cool thing with this one, it looks great, and then it also has an amazing ability that would be fun to build the deck around. So definitely one we want to open when the packs finally get here. But next we have Amethyst. So for Amethyst, I went with Maleficent, Sorceress. I just think that looks like an epic pose, first of all, and like she's conjuring lightning, and the sky's kind of swirling in a storm cloud above her, and then her cape is, it's got all these jagged lines, and it's kind of flaring out in maybe the gust of wind or the storm. And her staff is raised and glowing, and you can tell she's in an action pose. And I'm not sure who she's attacking or if she's just, conjuring this storm, but there's a story behind it for sure. And it just, it looks really cool. I can also imagine like all the lightning shining and holographic, and that'd be a sick card to open
if they
too.
selectively foil the lightning bolts and the glowing staff, I think that would be really epic.
And she has an amazing on-play ability to draw you a card, so that's even better. And it's only a common, so would expect to open quite a few of this one.
And then I went with Olaf this time just because, he looks so happy, and the scenery around him, I think, is really done nicely too. The trees look so inviting and warm, despite that it's kind of a wintry scene. So really love that, and he's just he looks carefree, and he's friendly and he likes hugs. So what's not to like about him?
Yeah, that's another great choice. And next we have Ruby. So for this one, it was a toss-up. I really wanted to go with that Dragon too, but I kind of caught wind that he might be picking that, so I went with Dragon Fire, which I also really like. Just a really cool action shot there, and I know it's a Ruby card, but there's a lot of that greenish yellow flames that Maleficent is expelling, and then I don't know, it's just, I like how the eyes are glowing too and matching all of that. And also, it seems like this card is going to be such a staple in a lot of Ruby decks, whether you're playing aggro and this is something you're running at the top of the curve to, remove the big important threats that your opponent puts down and help your, weenies push through and get the job done. Or if you're in control, certainly you'll be wanting to run a lot of these as well. So I love the art on this. It's really epic. And then just the fact that it's going to be such a staple, it's really cool to see.
Yes, and I went with Maleficent Monstrous Dragon. The one thing I like the most about this card is just the scale of the sizing, because when you look at how big Maleficent is, you see down below, way towards the bottom of the art, is like the tops of the castle and the tops of the thorn forest, and she's just towering way above that. So that really gives you an idea of the grandness of her scale, and I think that really fits with the legendary rarity of this card. And then just too, like, it seems like the forest is probably going up in flames a little, and the smoke is kind of obscuring the background. So I think there's a lot of nice things on here. She's got some nice lines on her wings, and her stomach is nice and ribbed with different lines too. And again, you can see she's lit from within by that green fire, and it's just kind of glowing out of her eyes and her nostrils. So she's got the firepower there when she needs it. So.
Yeah, I think she's just, towering over that battlefield and, assessing her next move, and it does look really epic. It's quite the pose. And
I think it really captures the Ruby, like the feel of Ruby and red.
Yeah, it'd be very scary to be facing her down in that picture. So, yeah, amazing artwork there.
So now
you're on to Emerald.
For Emerald, going forward, the card I selected will be on the right for the next three. I went with Lady Tremaine, the Wicked Stepmother, and I liked a lot of the Emerald art, actually, but this one, I guess, as I've noticed before, I just love the lighting, how she's silhouetted against the window, and kind of in the Emerald banner, the swirls that you see there is kind of recreated in the lines on the window, and she seems towering and imposing, and you can tell she has authority in her household, and she knows how to wield it and knows how to get what she wants. And then the drapes on the side, they kind of frame her nicely as well. So I think just the lighting on this card really spotlights her. And I wouldn't have thought that Lady Tremaine would be a character I would be too excited about, just conceptually, but when I see it here, like, I get really excited about it. And I think this card has some great potential, to be quite strong, because the more sets come out, and even within the first set, I think there's going to be a lot of action cards, and so it'll be interesting to see who can come up with kind of like the best deck to really get the most value out of her recursion effect.
Just knowing that every action card that gets printed in all the sets going forward could be retrieved with this card. There's a lot of potential here, and it's only going to keep getting better the further along we go. And I went with Prince Ali for Aladdin. The moment I saw this card, I thought this was, amazing visually. It's very colorful and fun, and it really captures Prince Ali from the film and how he's riding into town feeling pretty good about himself, and the image he's, putting off, trying to impress the Sultan and Princess Jasmine. And I really like the art on this card. It's very fun. And it seems like it will combo nicely with the Ruby Aladdin in the starter deck. But just some nice artwork. And next, we will get into Sapphire. So I went with Robin Hood, Unrivaled Archer. I just think the lighting on this artwork is just beautiful. It seems like a nice sunny scene where the sunlight's kind of filtering in through the forest, and you can see the trees. I think they're very interestingly done. The branches are kind of twisting in unique ways that you might not think they would do in nature. And then I like how the sun's kind of glinting on the bark, and then on the different leaves, making some a darker shade, some a lighter. And then Robin Hood himself, he's clearly aiming at something. I know in the film, archery, that's his big thing that he's amazing at. And so it's just cool to see. I'm not sure what he's aiming at, but that kind of leaves a little mystery to it as well, which is kind of fun. So love the artwork on this one, and again, would love to see this one in foil.
And I went with Aurora, the Dreaming Guardian. I feel like this one, just from the moment I saw it, all of the way the magic is kind of swirling through the air, it just really impressed me, like how much is being shown on this card. And she looks like she's coming into her power, which this is a Floodborn, so it's a different interpretation of the Aurora we all know. But I just think visually this has a lot going on, and I think it's done very well. And in the video where we saw they were showing off some of the foil cards at one of the events, this card was one that was shown, and I did think it looked very nice because it seemed like a lot of the magic swirls were selectively foiled. And so I'm excited about this one too, because it's in the starter deck, so a lot of people will have a chance to pick this one up.
Yep. And lastly, we are coming up on Steel. So for Steel, I went with Prince Eric, Fiery and Brave. I just thought this is a very nice action shot. Like, you can tell he's in the middle of a fierce storm, or the maelstrom part of the scene from the film, and he's really gripping that wheel tight, trying to maintain control of the ship as he steers it toward Ursula. And he's kind of gritting his teeth or grimacing, because it's a lot of hard work and effort, but it's a big important part of the film, and I think it's a really cool image. And then also, he's got the Challenger ability, so for a cost of 2, he can hit for 3 when he's attacking. That's pretty nice, and kind of fits with this, almost like he's in combat in the image, so to speak. And I really like the part of the film that they decided to showcase with this Eric card.
And then I went with Gantu. This very one, nice. He looks very strong and powerful. I like how he's being framed by kind of some of the jungly aspects of Hawaii. from the film. And, despite that most of the steel cards are kind of, they have that gray hue to them, like this one I think makes really good use of lighting in the back to kind of give it a lot of different shades of gray that really just makes him pop out in the middle. And then his blaster, like that's like a nice little splash of yellow on the side, and of course there's some red on his outfit as well on the fringe. But I think this just really captures, how big and strong that he is, and it fits very well with the steel theme of using brute force to overpower your opponent. So I really like, the angles and kind of the framework they did on this one using the jungle.
I love the different shades of gray in this one, and again I love a jungle scene, so I think it's really cool. You can see some of the roots and the leaves there. You can tell that he's, in some jungle, and he's just really big and imposing right in the center, which fits very well with Gantu. He is a huge character, and
I wish his effect was a little better, because I have a feeling people probably won't play this card very much. But
it remains
it'd be nice if his effect would like stop characters from questing. I think then it would be a lot more usable.
It seems like pretty slower. It would take a while potentially to get him out with that 8 cost, and at that point, do you really care if characters that cost 2 or less can challenge or not? It depends, because the other player might be running out of gas, and maybe they're just top decking some 2 cost or less characters, and now they can't challenge something they might really need to take out of yours. So I can see how, and at least in the perfect setup, it could be fine. But it does seem like it would be less likely to see you play than some of these other
cards. Unless you can ramp really fast to get to that 8 cost, then I think the effect might just be too little too late, in a lot of cases.
But I do think it looks very, very cool image-wise anyway.
Yeah, love the art.
Yep, a very cool include in this first chapter.
So that was just kind of some of our initial thoughts about the art we've seen so far. We picked out some of our favorites, but again, there's so much great art
absolutely
in this game, and we're excited to see all the other cards being revealed eventually, because we know there's some more really great art pieces out there that we're just going to be excited to find out about.
The fact that every new card is brand new art for this game, we're just so impressed by that, and by all the art we've seen, and it's just exciting, because not only when you get a new reveal you find out like what's in the game, but then you get to see each artist's take on the character or the item or the action, and how it really kind of connects and matches some of the other art and the theme of the game, and how they took their own little creative liberty with it too. So really cool to see. But it's been quite a wait so far as we await the release of Lorcana. But
we're about 3 months away, and I know
it's getting closer.
Super excited, and
I was just curious like what some of you are doing if you're counting down the days until release. Like, are there other gaming activities you're doing while you wait? Like, I know we were really excited recently about the release of the new Legend of Zelda game, Tears of the Kingdom, and just started that a little bit and have been having a lot of fun with that. But let us know what you're having fun with in the meantime.
And also in the comments, we'd love to hear like what some of your favorite cards are for the art. So if you have some favorite art pieces so far in the game, please list them below, because we'd love to read through comments and see what other people think.
Yep. But other than that, thank you so much for tuning in. We really do appreciate it. And until next time, take care.
Yep.
Bye.
See you later.